take it away.
So my name is Katy Gabrio, and I'm at the library at McAllister College in St. Paul, Minnesota. And I just wanted to share a little bit of information about McAllister and our library to help give some context about the advocacy document that we had developed, because I think some of the pieces of information about our institution helped define kind of what items showed up on our advocacy document. So had I been at another institution, there might have been different items that we were advocating for. McAllister is a small 4-year liberal arts college. So by small, I mean we have about 2,000 FTE when it comes to the students. And that's kind of the high number. We crept up over the last few years, and about 2,000 is where we're topping off. And we're in St. Paul, Minnesota. We're primarily a residential campus, a residential college, so most of our students live on or very near the campus. That said, most of our students do travel abroad at some time while they're at McAllister and are accessing our resources while they're traveling abroad, or they participate in a research program that takes place at some other campus other than McAllister. Most of our classes are taught in actual physical classrooms on campus. We've had one online course offered at McAllister last summer. There was a math class that was offered online. So that plays into, I think, some of the things we're advocating for, and speaks to maybe where we might feel pressure or lack of pressure when it comes to building an ebook collection. What else have I got there? Besides the fact that we're a small institution, we still aim very much to try and provide a research library experience for all of our community, especially when we have new faculty coming from larger research institutions and they come to our, at McAllister and see our collection. We aim to provide them with the same kind of support that they had at the research institutions that they had come from. And we try to do this in different ways, both through the collections that we have in-house, our electronic collections. We have some pay-per-view offerings for article content that we offer, and we also rely heavily on interlibrary loan in order to support our faculty, our staff, and our students in their research and in their teaching. And so that's just a little bit of information kind of about us as an institution and what our aim is as a library. And then I'll talk a little bit about our advocacy rights document and how that came about. We had noticed a few different things kind of happening all around the same time. We had been looking and seeing that we had been adding more and more ebook content to our collections. I think very early on, before I was at MAC, we had added some net library collections, now the ebooks on EBSCOhost platform. We had Humanities eBook Project we were providing access to, and then we were focusing, like a lot of academic libraries, on our reference collection and looking to shrink the print footprint of the reference collection, and finding ebooks were a great way to do that. So acquiring some like Oxford Reference online, Credo Reference, doing some print digitization of titles in our reference collection. And then from there, adding a few titles on the My iLibrary platform and other collections as well. So we were acquiring more of that content. We started circulating devices such as Kindles and iPads to our community. Some of them came preloaded with content that we had access to. Others were kind of blank slates that people could use as they wanted. And we were also noticing more of the community coming in with their own devices and needing help how to access the content on those devices. So they'd locate ebooks in our collection and want help being able to load them onto their devices. And so we were noticing that. And then also a definite increase in our interlibrary loan requests, both borrowing and lending requests for ebook content. So our patrons finding out that other libraries had particular ebooks and requesting those through interlibrary loan. People at other libraries finding our holdings for ebooks and requesting those through interlibrary loan. And all of those requests were denied kind of on both ends, just because our license agreements did not allow for us to do that. So our ILL folks started asking more questions about, you know, we've got our holdings out there, we're showing the world we have these, but then we keep denying all the requests. So, you know, what's up with this? So at the same time, so we're adding some more content on different platforms. The patrons with devices and without devices were coming to the desk asking, I found this in the catalog, how do I access this? How do I open it? How do I get it onto my device? This one says it's already in use, but I just had it open on my computer at the reference station, and now I can't get into it again. All these different questions and confusion, and not just from our patrons, our staff too were confused by how to access some of these things and what we could or could not be doing with them. We were, at that point, deciding we needed to get a better understanding of what do we have, where do we have it, what can we do with it, so we can better help our own patrons when they come to us with these questions. So that's when our group first formed within the library to look more closely at ebooks, and it was more information gathering at that point and trying to figure out what we had and what we could do with it. At the same time, we were part of a consortium where we shared a ILS system, and that was the CLIC consortium in the Twin Cities area. And most of the libraries in CLIC were using Ingram as their primary book vendor and had started purchasing some content on the My iLibrary platform. And we had talked with Ingram at that time about, for example, St. Thomas is part of our consortium. St. Thomas would purchase a book on the My iLibrary platform and be able to purchase it in a way that all of the libraries within the consortium could access it. So we weren't each having to buy a copy of that book in order to access it, especially because we were in a shared catalog and people were discovering each of our own books in that environment. And so it looked hopeful and promising when we first started the conversation, and we were excited about it, but we quickly learned, and Whitney and probably everyone at the table could talk more about the complexities of trying to do something like that on a platform where there are a lot of different publishers having their content hosted there. So it wasn't a simple, yes, for all of the publishers and for all of each publisher's content, you can purchase multiple users at different campuses. Some publishers don't allow for that, or they might only allow for it in for part of their catalog of titles and not all of their catalog of titles. And we realized that was a big eye-opening moment that the complexities that are involved in licensing among publisher to publisher, even within, I think, an individual publisher's catalog of titles. So we kind of put a pause on that and kept having our own conversations, and then our head of collection development and discovery came back from the Charleston conference a few years ago, where she had been at several sessions and been in conversations with other academic libraries about ebooks in their libraries. And what she was hearing was that, yes, libraries are building larger and larger ebook collections, and many of them are not reflecting in OCLC that they hold these collections. So they're acquiring this content, but they're the only ones really that know they have it. No other libraries are aware that they have it. And so to us, that was really a turning point for us. We started questioning, if we and other libraries are building these collections that we can't share with each other. We rely heavily on interlibrary loan in order to support our faculty and our students and staff. The print collections are starting to shrink. What does this mean and how we're able to serve our community? And what does it mean for kind of overall as a library trying to serve the public good in providing people access to information that they need? And so at that point, that's when we kind of turned from being an information gathering group and looking more at becoming an advocate for ebook rights for libraries. And then we talked more about what would we want to advocate for, and again, that goes back to what shows up on our list are items that we as Macalester saw as important if we were at a larger institution, or if we had other, a more heavier load of online courses we were offering, we might have other items on that list. So I'm glad there are other librarians here who can share their perspectives and what demands they're seeing at their institution, what needs there are for their communities. Let's see. And I did want to point out too, and Heather mentioned this at the beginning, that really the goal of our document was to be a tool for us to start conversations with people, to start conversations with other library people, with publishers, content providers, anyone who's open to having a conversation. It wasn't meant to cause any contention or to be an ultimatum or anything like that. I've seen some libraries where they aren't happy with a particular publisher or vendor for some reason, and they decide the way that they're going to show their unhappiness is just to stop having conversations. And to me and to the rest of our staff, we just didn't see that as a way to successfly move forward in any kind of conversation. Just cutting off communication didn't seem like the route to go. So that's kind of the document and why we decided to develop it.
Thanks. And a lot of the bullet points and things around the document are going to be in the slides. Whitney?